Cristiano Ronaldo, a great champion, a legend of the sport, and a one-man industry, is facing the biggest crisis of his storied career. Allegations that he raped a woman in a Las Vegas hotel in 2009 could very well destroy a man who's arguably the greatest footballer of our time. The fact is, only two people know what actually happened that night in Las Vegas. Catherine Mayorga, a 35-year-old unemployed teacher, then working as a part-time model, and Cristiano Ronaldo, who just landed at that time the biggest transfer of a generation, signing for Real Madrid. Now, the contrast between these two individuals couldn't be more stark. On the one side, you have a superstar loved by his more than 143 million Instagram followers. He's played for the biggest clubs in the world in Manchester United, Real Madrid and Juventus. There's a $1 billion lifetime contract with Nike. And Ronaldo's represented by one of the football agencies who's controlling the careers of Europe's best talent. Then there's Catherine Mayorga, whose original lawyer specialized in parking fines, and a police department who allegedly weren't even told the name of the man they were investigating at the time. So here's what we know. Mayorga was interviewed by Der Spiegel, a German magazine detailing her side of the story. We know police opened a case on the incident in 2009, and that there was a non-disclosure agreement signed by both parties. Now, Ronaldo denies the allegations. These are the things that's very important to note. Ronaldo's lawyers say leaked documents to the press were stolen and fabricated. A Las Vegas court will hear a case to overturn the non-disclosure agreement, which has silenced both parties until now. We know Las Vegas police are looking into the case once again, but with all of this info, we as the public need to remember the facts. Now, to help us with that, human rights barrister, academic and author Geoffrey Robertson is here to talk with us about this issue. He's been the counsel of many landmark cases representing the likes of Julian Assange, Salman Rushdie and Mike Tyson. It is very good to have you on the program. I mean, from the outset, this looks like a David versus Goliath case. I mean, how difficult is it for one person to take on a multi-million-dollar brand like Cristiano Ronaldo?
Well, it used to be impossible until the last year and the Me Too scandal with Harvey Weinstein and others now means that sports stars and other celebrities can't get away with it. And so these non-disclosure agreements, which they're very expensive and rather sleazy, I'm afraid, lawyers got victims to sign, paying them large sums of money for shutting up about criminal offences, are now being seen as unethical and being banned in England, and I think may well come apart in this case in Las Vegas.
And how likely is it that the court will, in fact, overturn that NDA, given that Mayorga alleges it was to hide a criminal act?
This woman made a complaint the night after the alleged anal rape, and she was paid, it said, $390,000 to keep quiet, and she has kept quiet for 9 years, and now she's asking the police, and they're investigating. If I were the judge, and I've been a judge, I would take apart the non-disclosure agreement, because there can be no confidence in iniquity. That's the old principle that I would apply. Doesn't mean, of course, that Ronaldo is guilty, but it does mean that he will be properly investigated and put on trial if there is sufficient credible evidence.
And all that being said, I mean, Geoffrey, it is very important to note that Ronaldo does profess his innocence, and this is the Portugal international taking to social media to comment on the accusations. If I can just interrupt you there for 1 second, let's just have a listen to what he said on Instagram.
Fake news. Do you want to promote by my name? It's normal. They want to be famous to say my name. Yeah, but it's part of the job. I'm happy, man.
Geoffrey, that is Ronaldo speaking on social media. I mean, because of the money. And we mentioned a little bit earlier as well, her lawyer used to specialize in parking fines. Ronaldo's got top legal experts. Is there a problem when you look at the bigger scheme of things that stars can just throw money at a case like this?
Well, of course, stars have always been subject to what we call in the trade gold diggers, women, sometimes men, who are trying to get money. But this was a lot of money to pay, 390,000, and there was a complaint to the police the night after of anal rape, which is a very serious crime. So it's not for lawyers subsequently to come along and offer to shut complainants up by showering money on them. That's unethical, and it's being banned in Britain, and I suspect the same feelings will be voiced in America in this court case. And in the Harvey Weinstein cases, I acted for his secretary, who was subjected to bad behavior and shut up for a number of years by these unethical non-disclosure agreements.
I mean, the documents at issue here as well that were obtained, those are in question. Ronaldo's lawyer says they fabricated, they were acquired illegally. Does that even matter in this case?
No, not centrally. Obviously, the issue, Ronaldo, I think, says she consented. She denies that and says he raped her. So it's a he says, she says. It's a question of their credibility. There may be evidence for her or for him that tips the balance, but it's got to be properly investigated and go to trial. But you know, it raises a greater issue now in the Me Too generation. What are sports stars, celebrities, film stars to do in relation to a one-night stand with a partner they've never met before? In order to protect themselves, I think their football clubs, their agents and so on are going to have to start supplying them, as well as with condoms, with consent forms, so that the partner that they're taking to bed can actually say, I consent to having sex with X, and I am not drugged or have not lost my mind through alcohol. So I think that's the kind of simple statement that celebrities are going to have to pull out of their pocket and put on the hotel bedroom table before they have sex, because they are, of course, vulnerable to complaints, and it may be years later they may be complained against. So that will protect them, and it will also, in a way, protect the partner with whom they're bent on having sex. So I think we're going to see a change in cultural mores, if you like. The old idea of the groupies lining up for the star is no longer, in these days of Me Too, is no longer possible. And lawyers should be aware of that, and so should sports managers and clubs.
Geoffrey, I want to get back to the non-disclosure agreement in the Ronaldo case. Now, he's alleged to have filled out a questionnaire that she said no and stop, and then it was reported that that same questionnaire at a later date had different answers. Is that normal when you read something like that, those kind of reports? Is that the normal course of law?
Well, there's been some leakage here from material that's usually kept confidential, and I don't know, and no one knows until the police obtain the material and piece it together, what is the case. But there were obviously negotiations in the wake of or before the non-disclosure agreement was settled. There was a lot of money. There were two different accounts of what went on, and the parties may well have told their lawyers different things at different times. We don't know. It all waits for a proper police investigation, and if the police find enough evidence, credible evidence on the part of this teacher who is in her mid-30s, was 25 at the time, then it will come out in the trial.
Insightful, appreciate your analysis.
And it will be important.
Yeah.
It will be important for Ronaldo to go to that trial and to put on a defence, because otherwise he will live under the shadow of an extradition order, and it will be very difficult for people, for sponsors to support him. It will be difficult for clubs to support him.
Yeah.
He's got to make a clean
Geoffrey,
breast of this. He's got,
we are going to have to leave it
necessary,
there.
to go to America and fight it.
Thank you. Geoffrey Robertson, human rights barrister, academic and author, speaking to us from London. Appreciate that. Thank you.